Hi, I'm Steve Younis. Welcome to the Speeding Bulletin, your Superman news video recapping the events of the week July 8th to July 14th, 2016. Our top news stories this week included the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman is out this coming week, the roles of Maggie Sawyer and Snapper Carr are cast for Supergirl, and the full schedule of events for San Diego Comic-Con are released. Let's check out these news stories and more in this week's Speeding Bulletin. In movie news, I received my review copy of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition on Blu-ray this week, and while I thoroughly enjoyed the movie when I saw it the first time in the theatre, the Ultimate Edition is definitely a more rounded film and feels more like a Superman movie than the theatrical version did. Read my full report and review at our website dated July 12th. Warner Bros. Released a short video from the bonus material included in the Blu-ray release of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition, in which Henry Cavill talks about Superman, the complexity of the character, but also staying true to who Superman is.
It's very difficult to write a Superman story. There's a deep complexity to the nature of Superman being a godlike being with godlike powers. It's about keeping the complexity and truth of the character without ruining anything else.
Henry Cavill shared a behind-the-scenes photo taken during filming of the movie. The image shows Superman flying towards Batman as he's about to fire the second of his kryptonite bat grenades. Warner Bros. Posted a fifth BVS 101 video, this one titled Batman, giving us a closer look at The Dark Knight.
In his debut in 1939, Batman was portrayed as an agent of darkness. He wore black, worked alone, and even carried a gun.
Lego DC Comics Superheroes Justice League Gotham City Breakout, the new animated movie from Warner Bros. Home Entertainment, is now available to own on Blu-ray Combo Pack and DVD. Here's a new clip from the film featuring Superman and Cyborg.
Holy garbage truck! Gotham City is filthy with criminals!
Holy what? Why are you talking like that? Wait, you don't usually wear a cape, do you, Cyborg?
Yes. Yes, I do. And would you please call me Boy Wonder?
ComicBookResources.com also posted an exclusive clip from the new animated movie in which the Joker tricks Superman into doing his dirty work for him.
Give up now, Joker. I have superpowers, and all you have is a spoon.
Superpowers? Like what? Can you grow money from trees?
Well, no.
Can you make dogs invisible?
Spoony, that's not even a real superpower.
Perhaps a demonstration for Spoony.
Well, I can shoot super hot beams from my eyes with super accuracy.
Oh, really? Prove it, you big goof!
Whoops.
Order Lego DC Comics Superheroes Justice League Gotham City Breakout from our online store now. In TV news, EW.com announced that Ian Gomez, who fans may recognise from the TV show Cougar Town, has been cast to play the role of Snapper Carr for the second season of Supergirl. Additionally, The Hollywood Reporter revealed that Floriana Lima has been cast to play the role of Maggie Sawyer. Maggie will be a detective for the National City Police Department who takes a special interest in the cases involving aliens. In an interview with MoviePhone.com, Tyler Hoechlin spoke about how he feels about having been chosen to portray Superman for the second season of the Supergirl TV series, his thoughts on playing Clark Kent, and working out in the gym for the role. He said, "I have definitely been in the gym more than I have been in the last 2 years. Yes, that's definitely been happening." The CW network released a new poster image promoting their plans to air the entire first season of Supergirl on Monday night starting August 1st. With 2 episodes each week until the new season of Supergirl premieres on Monday, October 10th at 8 p.m. Warner Bros. Television and TV Guide magazine team up for the 7th year in a row, joining forces on another special Warner Bros. Themed Comic-Con special edition of the magazine. The 4 collectible covers feature WB TV series and stars from Blind Spot, The Flash, Supernatural and Supergirl. For those unable to attend Comic-Con in person, all 4 collectible covers will be on sale from July 19th at retailers across the USA, as well as online at tvguidemagazine.com/Comic-Con beginning July 18th. La La Land Records will release the original score from Season 1 of Supergirl on CD later this month. Rich in theme, full of heart and brimming with fun, the music of Supergirl Season 1 is a listen every fan will cherish. Produced by composer Blake Neely and mastered by Stephen Marsh, this special limited edition CD release of 3,000 units features a personal note from composer Blake Neely and high-flying art design by Dan Goldwasser. A limited number of signed copies will be available on La La Land's website from July 26 starting at 12 p.m. Quantities are limited, so don't miss out. In comic book news, FreakSugar.com published an exclusive interview with Dan Jurgens talking with him about returning to write Superman's adventures in Action Comics. He said, "What I like about Superman is the incredible range of stories that fit the character. On a large-scale level, Superman is such a powerful character that you can do a story about him going up against a threat that imperils the entire galaxy." The Adventures of Supergirl comic book title saw its final chapter released digitally on Monday, July 11th. The print edition of the final chapter will be released on July 20th. TheMarySue.com sat down for a chat with Sterling Gates to talk about the book, how it all came about, and he said, "There's a heart in every action she has. She always finds the fun and joy of it, and she will go to great lengths to do the heroic thing, period." If you were reading this week's Action Comics 959, you might have been forgiven for wondering what was going on at one point in the book when Batman suddenly arrives to help Superman confront Doomsday by shoving a Snickers chocolate bar in the creature's face, soothing the creature, who was really Wonder Woman. No, it wasn't part of the story, although it seemed like it. It was just a well-placed, or interestingly placed, advertisement for Snickers. Kenan Kong, the Chinese Superman, is introduced in this week's New Superman #1 comic book. In a new DC All Access comic clip, writer Jen Yang talks about how this young superhero will be different from Kal-El and whether China will be getting any other familiar new heroes.
The first story arc of New Superman is about what it means to be Superman, especially in a different cultural context. One of the things that most interested me about this book is we get to take what's universal in Superman and explore it in a brand new cultural context. So that's what this first story arc is all about, is what defines Superman really can work in modern Chinese culture.
While the October 2016 solicitations from DC Comics aren't due to be released until next week, details on a number of the titles from October have leaked online, including information for Action Comics 965 and 966, Justice League 6 and 7, New Superman #4, Supergirl #2, Superwoman #3, Superman #8 and 9, and Trinity #2. When an incomplete leaked version of the Lois Lane cover for Action Comics 965 was posted online, artist Clay Mann posted his artwork in its entirety for everyone to see. Look for the complete list of Superman comic book titles in the October 2016 solicitations next week. Comic books we reviewed this week included Superman #2, which was reviewed by Adam DeChannel, who said, "I can't express enough how much I'm enjoying the balance of drama and action as opposed to just action," and he gave this issue a 5 out of 5. T.A. Ewart reviewed Justice League Rebirth #1, giving it a 5 out of 5, saying, "What Hitch does get right from the jump is the need for the League to need each other." Injustice Year 5, Chapter 29 was also reviewed by a TA who gave it a 1 out of 5 score, saying, "A fight between Black Adam and Regime Superman should never be boring, but Injustice has become so overstretched." Keith Samra reviewed the 6th and final issue of Superman Coming of the Superman, saying this final chapter is called Answers but leaves too many unanswered, and he gave it a 2 out of 5 rating. Superman comics available this week from July 13th include Adventures of Supergirl Chapter 13 digital comic has been available since July 11th. Injustice Year 5 Chapter 30 digital comic has been available since July 12th. Action Comics 959, which is also available in a variant cover. DC Comics Bombshells #15 print edition. Earth 2 Society #14. New Superman #1, which is available in a variant cover. DC Comics Bombshells Volume 2 trade paperback. DC Elseworlds Justice League Volume 1 trade paperback. And The Daring New Adventures of Supergirl Volume 1 trade paperback. With less than a week to go until its release, be sure to purchase the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, which includes 30 more minutes of story and action not seen in theaters. Get this Batman v Superman Amazon exclusive Ultimate Edition Blu-ray with Superman figurine for $116.99. Or how about the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition 3D Blu-ray Combo Pack, yours for $29.99. These and other versions of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition are available from your one-stop Superman shop, the Superman Homepage online store at supermanhomepage.com/shop. In other news, the full schedule of events taking place at the 2016 San Diego Comic-Con was released this week, with plenty of Superman, Supergirl and Justice League action taking place across July 21st to 24th. Of special interest are the DC Rebirth Superman panel on Friday, the big Warner Brothers Pictures panel in Hall H on Saturday, and the special video presentation and Q&A for Supergirl also on Saturday. Superman homepage reporter Lewis Jane will be in attendance at Comic-Con for us, so look for reports and interviews across the 4-day event. ComicBookResources.com was granted an exclusive first look at the upcoming DC Collectibles DC Designer Series Superman and Lois Lane statue by Gary Frank. Standing at 16.5 inches tall, the statue is based on Gary Frank's variant cover for Superman Secret Origins number 3. Superman and Lois Lane are depicted in a mid-flight embrace, hovering over the famous daily planet globe. The statue will retail for around $250. We'll let you know when it is available for pre-order. DC Superhero Girls is taking the world by storm as Warner Brothers Consumer Products, in partnership with DC Entertainment, announced the powerful global expansion of the licensing and merchandising program at retail in more than 35 countries around the world, beginning this month. The expanded DC Superhero Girls merchandise program brings an array of products including bedding, posters, gift accessories, fragrances and bath sets, luggage and handbags, jackets, blouses, shorts, dresses and more. DC Superhero Girls products will be available at retailers around the world beginning this month. That's all the news there was for the week July 8th to July 14th. I'm Steve Younis from SupermanHomepage.com.
Great Scott! Great Scott! Great Scott!
Hello everyone, and welcome to another fabulous, incredible, up and down jumping edition of Great Scott. I'm Scotty V, and thanks for watching. So, today I wrap up my discussion of Batman v Superman. The final thing I wanted to talk about in the movie is what I consider to be the issues that I had in any movie. No matter what you feel about it, is going to have its issues. Civil War was the greatest thing since sliced caterpillar eggs, according to most comic book fans, but it still had its issues. Schindler's List is one of the greatest movies of all time, and it's still, I'm sure, if broken down, would have its issues. And there are things that you go, well, for dramatic purpose, they do this. So it depends on what they want to do dramatically, and some of the dramatic beats in this movie were decided upon, and then they went and did them, regardless of whether it made logical sense or not. For me, the first thing that really stands out is Martha, Martha, Martha. Not because of the memes, not because it doesn't make sense that Batman would realize the error of his ways. I think it's very clear to anyone who wants it to be the reason why Batman suddenly changed his stance. There's absolutely no reason in the movie, the way it is presented, that we should believe that Superman wouldn't have quickly gone after his mother and then went after the ship. He doesn't know there's a Doomsday. He doesn't know the world's in danger. He doesn't know there's any actual issue. Yes, the city is losing power. Yes, Batman says, you gotta go over there, I'll get your mother. And he just agrees. And I don't know that Superman would ever say, you know what? You're right. I'm going to leave Martha to you, a guy dressed as a bat. None of us know where she is, but somehow you're going to be able to find her quicker than I, who has every type of vision that's ever been thought of in the history of man, and every type of hearing. And so I could just listen for a second and probably hear Martha's heartbeat. Or I could go above the earth and look at Metropolis for 2 seconds, scan every building, and see either the one that was lined with lead, which they never say in the movie, or the one she's actually sitting in. Before he even battles Batman, he should have just got Martha back by doing the thing above the earth or listening or whatever. We're meant to believe that he can't do that, or he doesn't have the time to do that, or because Lex said that if Superman gets involved, he's going to tell his guys to kill her. Did he say if anybody else gets involved, it's fine? Did he say, but if you send a guy in a bat suit and he kills all my men and then takes Martha out of there, I'm just going to stand there and say, wow, he's very impressive. No, it would make sense that as soon as Batman breaks in there, they shoot Martha, and then Batman kills everybody, but Martha's already dead. The fact that they wait is incumbent on us again to say, well, the guy's probably afraid for his life, so he waits in case he can use Martha, and he does. When Batman comes in, he has the flamethrower, I'll kill her, and Batman is able to, which he probably wouldn't be, but again, a comic book thing, we let that go, is able to save her and block the flames and not get his face burned or anything. So once we're meant to believe that Superman doesn't do that, now we're in a situation where he could have just saved Martha, never battled with Batman to begin with, and then gone over to the ship. By the time he saved Martha, Lex would have been over there with Doomsday, and the whole Doomsday thing could have started. Batman still could have shown up and leapt out of the way for a while Wonder Woman tried to subdue Doomsday, and Superman eventually killed him. Have Doomsday break out before they decide that Batman's going to go after Martha. I gotta go save my mother. Boom! Rah! He jumps in, grabs Superman, and they're battling. And while they're battling, Superman says, "You have to save Martha!" like he did when he was on the ground. And Batman jumps into action. Would have been more heroic for Batman, would have been more heroic for Superman, would have made more sense. And we're given kind of a flimsy reason as to why Batman can get there so quickly. But it's also out of order because Batman is a man in a jet that is in a city, in the confines of a city. It's not like you can use the jet to go as fast as possible to get to a point where she's at. You have to kind of maneuver around. So the fact that we see Batman rescue Martha first, and then we see Superman fly, essentially 5 feet across the bay to get to where the ship is, where there might be a problem, I think is poor editing. We should have seen Superman go over there first and seen Doomsday break out first. Meanwhile, we in our minds know that Batman is going around trying to find Martha, and then Alfred comes through and says that he has a grouping of men with guns, which is not any definite indication that that is where Martha is, but he finds something that matches what he thinks is Martha. Batman goes there. They happen to be correct. If they would have just switched the order, started the Doomsday fight before they even decided for Batman to go to Martha, it would fix everything. But now we didn't do that, so now if they would have had Superman say, "You're right, I gotta go," boom, go over there, start the battle with Lex and Doomsday, then we see when Superman's floating in space from the nuclear missile, then cut to Batman, it would have been better, it would have flowed better, and it would have made more sense, because Batman gets that done before Superman even has the first word of his conversation with Lex. Now, I know that in movies, the idea a lot of times is, meanwhile, this is going on while Batman is saving Martha, but it's a little disjointed, and you kind of get the idea that Batman already got to where Martha is before Superman, and I get it, he probably didn't, it was happening simultaneously, although I also think it would have taken Batman longer to get to that point than it took Superman to get across the bay. That, I think, is it's the major plot beat in the movie, because it makes Superman and Batman allies. It makes Batman realize that he was wrong all along, and it changes the tone of the movie from that point forward. It's near the end, so we don't see it that long, but they're going to eventually be allies and friends, and no, it's not because her name is Martha. Next, and many people have talked about this, is the bullet scene. The scene where terrorists have Lois Lane and Superman comes and saves her, but before that happens, a bunch of people are murdered with guns by mercenaries who were sent there by LexCorp because he's setting up the whole thing, Lex, to slander Superman's name. And the thing is that when they show the African lady in port saying how he came from the sky and there were so many people dead and we're so afraid of him and it's so terrible, the implication seems to be that because of Superman, these people were gunned down in cold blood. No one says, why didn't he come before those people were killed? Why didn't he arrive and stop everyone from being killed? They just kind of indicate that because of him, they're all dead. And I don't know if that means that Lex thought that people would think that people gunned down by machine guns were the doing of Superman, or if he just wanted to go badly so that people could say, see, every time Superman's involved. But if Superman wasn't involved, all those people and one more would be dead. So the fact that he showed up still saved that one person and got one terrorist in jail. People say there's no way he could have survived, and maybe that's the case. We don't see that either. I look at it as Superman isn't going around killing human beings, so he has a way to make sure that his arms are behind the guy, the wall breaks by Superman's strength, and the man is probably knocked unconscious and maybe even has some bruised ribs. But Superman, that's that whole thing with whether he can catch you when you're falling or not, if he has to slow down, and they've never really covered that. But we have to go by that, otherwise every time he catches a person falling from a building, every time he catches Lois, all of those things, they would just break in half because they're going so fast. He's an object stopped. Or he has to go by in such a way that he has to calculate the movement and the motion, or he just has an instinctual sense of how to move when he's flying, so that he doesn't do that, and it doesn't necessarily need to be covered. It's that those types of things are the suspension of disbelief, not necessarily world-breaking, like when people don't act logically, or when reality is changed in a way that makes no sense. And you could argue that having a man who flies with a cape is changing reality in a way that doesn't make sense, but that is a construct that we know going in. But then everyone else in the world around should kind of relate unless you're making a totally, completely whimsical world that doesn't have real people in it, like Star Wars or something, where things don't have to make logical Earth sense. But Superman's on Earth, so those types of things are the things that stand out. But the biggest thing that is kind of an elephant on our back is the idea that